Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for coming. It is a real honor to stand here in Shelton with Rosa DeLauro to talk about a very, very important topic, and that is the general need we have to preserve the strength of our economy and the very specific need we have to preserve the security of our senior citizens. I thank you all for coming. Especially like to thank Cheryl Jansen, who is running in the district here. If you haven't met her, I hope you get a chance to do so. We are here because it is not a surprise to anybody who has been reading the newspapers for the last 2 months that our economy is in crisis. My opponent, Chris Shays, said on September 1st, just as this crisis was developing, that the economy is fundamentally strong. No one can disagree with that, showing a profound misunderstanding for how this economy works. The first thing we need to do to fix this economy is to understand that we have very severe problems and put in place the measures to solve those problems. But we're here to talk about something much more important, which is the fact that as the economy crumbles, we become aware of something that our seniors in particular need to focus on, which is that the stock markets and other financial markets are far too risky, far too volatile for us to expose our seniors to that risk via Social Security. My opponent, Chris Shays, has spent a 21-year career in Congress promoting the privatization of Social Security, co-sponsoring bills in 1997 and 1998 that would have privatized Social Security, as recently as July of this year, saying that the privatization of Social Security is a very good idea. Now, because we are going into an election, he is muddying the waters about where he is on this, but for the last 21 years, he has been a proponent of the privatization of Social Security. Ladies and gentlemen, the stock market has lost $8 trillion in wealth. Seniors with private accounts opening up their account statements this month would have seen tens of thousands of dollars in losses. People expecting to retire in the next couple of years were their private accounts, pushing off that retirement for years into the future. Our seniors and our families should save. They should fully stock IRAs. They should fully stock 401ks. They should invest those instruments how they want to invest them. They should invest them in the stock market in a way that is prudent. A nice diversified portfolio is the right thing to do. I can tell you that as a former banker. But that basic cornerstone, that promise that we make to our seniors that regardless of what happens, if you worked hard in your life, you will not be poor in your old age. That must not ever be exposed to the kind of risk and financial destruction that we have seen so clearly in the last 2 and 3 months. By all means, save and invest in the stock market. But that basic promise to all American seniors that you will not be poor must never be subjected to the kind of destruction that we see around us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I will go to Congress to fight for the security of our seniors, to fight to make Social Security sustainable, and to fight away proposals that would have impoverished our senior citizens. And I hope to do that with the lady standing to my left who has for decades stood up for our seniors and fought for the stability of our economy, for growth and for opportunity, and that is Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. What an honor here to be here with you this morning. And I want to just say a thank you to all of our friends here in Shelton. And someone said, I didn't know we were going to have coffee, but you've got coffee and you've got donuts here. So very, very hospitable. There are lots of familiar faces here, and I thank you for being here. I want to mention Janice Anderson, who is here. She's a candidate for the 21st State Senate District, and I'll say a word about Janice. I think that her experience, it has been all about growing and investing in communities. I mean, that's where she comes from. She's worked hard to build healthier, safer communities in the greater Bridgeport region. She's worked with schools, early intervention teams, connecting young people to local community services, co-chair of Connecticut Children's Behavioral Health Advisory Council. What she is about is bringing our most vulnerable people together in hopes that they may be able to make their way. And to Cheryl, who was running as state representative, thank you for your interest in the economy and creating jobs and doing all that you can to move forward. So we've got two very terrific candidates running for both the State House and the Assembly and for the State Senate. But I am honored truly to be here with Jim Himes today. I think his comments about the state of our economy are accurate. People are facing tough times, very, very tough times. And I spend a lot of time in my own district, and I've spent a lot of time over the last several weeks in places around the country. And the cry is the same. How are we going to be able to make ends meet? How are we going to move forward? Your comment, Jim, about the people who have said, and your opponent who has said, that the fundamentals of our economy are strong. I flew back to Washington yesterday because I sit on the Budget Committee. And our witness at the Budget Committee was the head of the Federal Reserve, the chairman, Ben Bernanke. Mr. Bernanke didn't say that the fundamentals of our economy are strong. Ben Bernanke was clear that we have a serious economic crisis. I tried to press him on whether or not he believed we were in a recession, but he said the nomenclature was not of any consequences. But the economy was in serious, serious trouble. Now you can read his quotes in the Wall Street Journal, in the New York Times, in any of the papers today. So when Chris Shays says that the fundamentals of our economy are strong, it is a total misreading of the economic crisis that we find ourselves in and the difficulty that people find themselves in today. Middle-class families, working families, seniors. There is real distress today. Foreclosures through the roof, soaring food, energy prices. People are at risk. And how does that play out with regard to older Americans? Retirement has become a balancing act of medical costs, threatened pensions, part-time jobs, and extended families. There are many challenges ahead. And leaders have the responsibility to get the big things right, especially for those who are about to retire. Reducing prescription drug costs, providing relief from high energy prices, ensuring quality, affordable long-term care, protecting pensions. But it begins with the strengthening and the preserving of Social Security, not dismantling Social Security. It begins by honoring the commitment that we have made to seniors and our future retirees. It begins by living up to a shared belief that we owe a debt of thanks to those who raised us and made us who we are. On a very personal note, I have a 94-year-old mother, going to be 95. And what was my mother's life about? It's the life that seniors have been about, and that is working hard. And my mom worked in the old sweatshops in New Haven. And why? Why did she work as hard as she did, and my dad as hard as he did, and others? It's because of their families, about providing their families with an opportunity for success, so that I could stand here someday and realize my own dreams. And that is what our parents and our grandparents have done. They built this great country. If it's a generation where the men fought overseas and the women worked in the factories, and all to keep this nation strong, all to keep their family strong and their community strong. And what are they asking for in return? They're not asking for a handout. They're saying, make sure that what our lives are about today are about dignity and respect and some economic security. That's what they're asking for today, and they're asking it from us because they have allowed us to be able to succeed. We have a responsibility as leaders in government. We have a responsibility to make sure that they have that confidence. Oftentimes my mom will say, Rosa, These are supposed to be the golden years. But you know what? They're the lead years. They're tough. They're hard. And our job is to make it easier. And what would happen? What would happen if we privatized Social Security? I would just tell you, and this is a mixed audience of men and women, and particularly for women. Privatizing Social Security is a disaster. Why? Women are in and out of the workforce. They take care of children. They take care of elderly parents. I'm sorry, gentlemen, women are living longer. They have less pension protection. They don't have retirement plans in the same way that men do. And they are reliant on Social Security in their older years. The largest number of people in poverty is the demographic of women who are over 70 or 75 years old. Reason why? Their retirement is usually tied to a spouse. When a spouse passes away, they, in fact, then find themselves on their own. And you know what? Women make 77 cents on the dollar. They make less than men do in our society, and that's been true, so that when they get to retirement age, they don't have that cumulative base on which to be able to make sure that their economic needs are met. So that and I think Jim has said it very, very well. People need to invest in the stock market. They need to a plan for their retirement, but privatizing Social Security in the way that Congressman Shays wants to do would put men and women at the greatest risk. And we don't need anything more than what has happened over the last several weeks to indicate what kind of financial difficulty that people will be in if this were the case. My understanding is also that Chris Shays stood this morning with Newt Gingrich, who was a fundraiser for Chris Shays. And now, if you want to know someone that I argued back and forth with every day on the floor of the House over a period of time, was because he wanted to privatize Social Security. So it's not something that was said in the past that you could have some reflection on given the hard economic times. This is today, where Chris Shays has said, let's privatize Social Security. If he didn't say that, the very presence of a Newt Gingrich reflects that kind of a view. So the fundamentals of our economy are not strong, and privatizing Social Security would get people at great economic risk. Now, you know what? I think you'll see in Jim Himes, in the way that he's run this campaign, what he knows when you listen to him. He understands how risky privatizing Social Security would be. And, you know, it's time that we had someone who would be a fighter like Jim Himes would be. He rose through the ranks in finance. He took his expertise to pursue business-oriented solutions to urban issues, working with private, with public, community organizations that in order to be able to address the challenges, the complex challenges, I might add, facing our nation. He served as commissioner of the Greenwich Housing Authority, board member of Fairfield County Community Foundation. He has seen great international forces that have shaped our nation's place in the world. He sees this moment for what it is, my friends, and that is that this is a historic time, and we have an opportunity to make a difference for future generations. In order to make good on that promise and take advantage of it, we need to have a member of Congress who fights for you and who sends the clear message that privatization is not the answer. We need to send Jim Himes to the Congress. And I will close with this. In our sending him to Congress, we make a very powerful statement that we are going to base this next generation and that link between the generations together, and we're going to found that on a very strong base that says, the compact that says, when you work hard, that means progress, not just for today, but progress for the future. You know, I work for an institution that has great potential. It's what its strength is all about. That's what the strength of the Congress, the House of Representatives is all about. And that kind of strength means that it has leaders in the past who have helped to make a difference in people's lives. Historically, that's true. Social Security, Medicare, civil rights legislation, a GI Bill, the opportunity for the sons and daughters of middle-class Americans to be able to get their kids to school. It's a potential. It is only realized by the quality of the leadership that you have that will exercise that potential to make it have that difference in the lives of people in the future as it has in the past. Jim Himes is that kind of a courageous leader who is going to make this institution, with his leadership ability, move in that direction that reconnects the fundamentals of our government and having it work to the benefit of the people that he represents. I thank you for my being here today, Jim. I'm honored to work with you, and we're going to make this happen, and you are going to be the next member of Congress from the 4th Congressional District. Thank you. Thank you all very much.